My name is Caroline Nguyen with the U.S. Customer Marketing Team. I'm here with our Category Marketing Manager for Ergonomics, Lisa Skytabor, who will lead our training on how to master workplace wellness like ergonomist, upper body fit. Okay, so here's a little overview on what Lisa will cover today. So we're going to be talking about improving workplace wellness with upper body fit ergonomics, what exactly that is, why companies are implementing wellness programs, and why you should add ergo solutions to your portfolio to increase margins, knowing your common pain points and how to fix them for the long run, a body part breakdown, cost of injuries and behavior trends in the workplace, and ideal solutions for every vertical. All right, that's it for me, and I will hand it over to Lisa.
Thanks, Caroline. First, I want to talk about what upper body fit ergonomics is, what it's referring to, what body parts, and some of the science behind it. And so with upper body fit, it's going to refer to basically anything above your hips. So that's going to include your torso, your low back, your chest, shoulders, forearms, wrist, elbows. And basically the biggest reason behind this is if your head and neck are in the correct position or a nice neutral posture, your whole body will naturally follow. So you'll be more comfortable throughout the day. So we kind of wanted to start with a head to toe approach, starting with the upper body fit. And as Caroline mentioned, it is a multiple series webinar. And so you can come back for the other portions of the body in the future. So I do want to kick off with a really fun fact that if you type 40 words a minute, you are pressing 12,000 keys per hour or 96,000 keys per 8-hour workday. And 40 words a minute isn't absurdly fast. So many of you guys, I'm sure, type much, much faster than that. But we want to look at how that impacts us, what the importance behind ergonomics is for those specific body parts. So some of you may already be selling ergo products, but there's a huge increased demand for ergo products where no one has actually been touching the market. I do want to take some time to talk about how it affects the employee with ergo and wellness programs, the employer, and what that means for their ROI or their bottom line. And then for the industry itself and what that impact actually is for some specific products that are out there. In the last few years, there's been a huge demand for ergo because it's becoming more of a household word, and more people are understanding the need for it, and the individual worker is a mover and shaker in the industry to then go to those higher up people to understand what impact it has on their daily workload. So a survey was done that 61% of employees agree that they've actually made healthier lifestyle choices just because of the company's ergo and wellness programs. So there's a huge message around this that people want to be fit, people want to be healthy, they want to make good choices, but ultimately they want to go home and do the things that they love outside of work. And so while they are at work, if they can work in comfort, they're going to work more efficiently and have a better sense of productivity. So another survey was done that there's actually been a 17% increase in productivity for those companies that are offering those ergonomic and wellness programs. That's a huge opportunity for resellers and distributors to approach that market and actually provide a total solution to those employees so that they can feel healthier about the lifestyle choices they're making within work and then outside of work as well. With the employer, it's a great ROI study that's been done that it's $5.93 or almost a 6-to-1 ratio for any ergonomic solution that's put into the workplace. So $1 spent on ergo solutions returns that company with $6 in savings for workers' comp cost and other costs that are there. That's a huge ROI to present to a company that might be considering it, or for you guys as a reseller or distributor to understand what impact that can have on your margins and the opportunity that's available. And another huge number is an 81% decrease in workers' comp cost for those that are making the choice to put ergo solutions and take a stance on ergo products in their workplace. Along with that, another meaningful number is 88% decrease in lost workdays. And that can be related to people coming to work, feeling healthier, not getting sick as much, but then also the recovery time, if there is an injury, can actually be reduced. And then on the preventative side, people are more willing to come to work if they have that comfortable workspace. And a lot of times, as you see that cost ratio, there's a huge ROI return, and it's not a huge investment to the company to actually put those products in place. So in the industry itself, we segmented down to a specific piece like the ergonomic keyboard. Just that product alone with the ergo keyboard market, it's valued at $493 million in 2014. With that forecast in place, it's actually expected to grow 10.5%. And I mentioned that that is specifically the ergonomic keyboards compared to a standard keyboard. There's growth there as well at 2.5%, but with the 10.5% increase for the ergo keyboards, you can see that there's an absolute need in the market for those specialized keyboards for any worker that is having a problem or also preventing those issues for the future to occur. With the stretch guide that we've created, we want to make sure that you guys are known as a great, valuable resource for companies to look to for ergonomic solutions, and then for us to provide those resources for you. So we put together this stretch guide that is very basic, and it offers stretches to do at your workstation with no extra equipment needed, very short, very easy to understand, and you guys could be doing them right now in your workplace, and it's a nice interruption to your daily workload that you're actually able to do stretches, feel a little bit more relaxed, and enjoy that feeling of stretching throughout the day. But that also goes along with the baseline of the ergo message that we want to care about your health and wellness, and companies want to feel like they care about their employees, and the employees want to feel that their company cares about them. So by being able to provide this stretch guide to companies that you're looking at selling the ergo solutions to, it's a really great value added resource, showing them that we are committed to caring about not only the products, but also the health and wellness of the employees that are there. So some of the common pain points that are in the upper body, I'm sure all of you or most of you have had some sort of ache and pain from your hips or above. Some of the leading ones we'll talk about in a few minutes, but there's so many solutions out there to take care of common pain points. And if you think about how annoying or how disruptive just a small ache or pain can be in your normal work life, you can only imagine if there's a chronic piece or an injury that's out there in specific places like your wrist or your forearm. If you want to be surprised at how much those injuries actually cost a company and see the need for putting those ergo products into the actual companies themselves, we've taken a minute to explain the workers' comp cost. This shows the direct cost and the indirect cost for some of the most common upper limb injuries that are there, which would fit into our upper fit ergo today. I want to mainly talk about the carpal tunnel piece, just because it's the most familiar of all of the ergo injuries that are out there. It's a buzzword that's tossed around. Everyone knows what it is or kind of knows what it is, but I also want to touch on the others as well, just understanding what products can go towards them as well. So with carpal tunnel, if you aren't familiar with it, there is a vein and a tendon that runs through the middle of your wrist that anytime the area is compressed or pressure is put on it in any type of way for an extended period of time, that causes that area to inflame. If you think about workers that are at a desk and they're sitting, typing, mousing all day long without an ergo product in place, like a wrist rest or a proper mouse, over time they are going to have inflammation there and it's going to grow tired, and a lot of times that results in an injury. So just the injury alone, which is the direct cost, is $30,000. That's not including the indirect cost of the productivity, or if you have to hire a replacement, the recovery time, or anything else that's associated to that injury. If you look at some of the others, like bursitis or tendonitis, those can happen in your wrist and forearms or in your shoulder. And those are honestly some of the most popular injuries I saw doing ergonomic assessments that people didn't think they were that bad. And they would get to a point without an ergo product that they would say, oh, I wish I would have had that before, and that could have prevented that. $35,000 for tendonitis in the elbow or bursitis in the shoulder. So those are those aches and pains that just don't go away, or sometimes they're called musculoskeletal disorders, or MSDs. There's so many indirect costs related to these though, as far as hiring or training the replacements. There's overtime costs, there's different equipment that might have to be put in place during the interim for some of the other injuries, and those sprains and strains can happen to any portion of your body, but the numbers associated are astronomical. But if you think that 30,000 is a lot, the total cost for the direct and indirect cost for a normal carpal tunnel injury, and this is just one injury, is going to be $215,000. Another example, so it's not just carpal tunnel, would be the rotator cuff. That would be with surgery, recovery, and all of those costs related, $125,000. So we are going to look in the future at what the cost of putting certain ergo equipment solutions in place are, but I can promise you they are nowhere close to that $215,000 number. So if we want to think about how we can increase our margins and look at that demand from the customers to put those solutions in place, we can see that there's an absolute need with the cost of the injuries to put those solutions there. So going further into the total cost, if that 215,000 was not a large enough number, if you look at all workers' comp cost for the MSDs, or musculoskeletal disorder accounts, those account for 1/3 or 33% of all workers' comp cost. So 1/3 of those costs that the company is incurring are coming from ergo related, or lack thereof, related injuries. So Liberty Mutual does a survey every year of all of the workers' comp injuries that are placed and what the cost associated to them is. The top three, or there are 3 of the top 10, I'm sorry, are related to ergonomics. So the largest is overexertion, including outside sources. And so that's going to be any time that you overwork the body, if you're not getting supported and you're doing the same type of item without support, you are going to end up with an injury there if you do not have that appropriate support, like a backrest or a footrest or something like that. Those are all items that can easily help prevent an injury from happening. The overexertion, including outside sources, is $13.7 billion, not million, dollars a year in that workplace injury. Some of the others to look at that include ergo injuries would be other exertions or bodily reactions. Many times that includes the carpal tunnel when you have the compression or the pressure on your wrist area. And then furthest on the right is the repetitive motions, including micro tasks. So this could come from repetitive mousing or keying all day, or the same type of motion over and over and over again, as we have repetitive jobs, especially on the computer, where we're doing the same thing day in and day out. And just that smallest of the top 10 is $1.5 billion in cost to companies for that injury. And so overall, we're looking at $51.4 billion in those top 10 most disabling injuries. So you can see it is truly an epidemic of cost to the companies for these injuries. And those are numbers that companies that you are looking at selling to care about. So how do we solve this? What are some of the ideal solutions that we can put in place to help this ergo issue and help prevent and help make those workers healthier, happier, and more comfortable in their workspace? So even in this slide here, we have a beautiful monitor arm that adjusts. It doesn't take over the desktop. It makes it easy to set up, and they have full adjustability for the workstation. It's becoming very, very normal to see 2 monitors at a workstation. So having that easy adjustability, having that clean design, and having the benefit of the Smart Fit built into it to make it easy to adjust for users makes it a no-brainer for a company to purchase, but also increases your profit margins as well. Also, we have the ErgoSoft wrist rest that's on a standard keyboard there. So even if a company does not want to change to an ergonomic keyboard, everyone has a keyboard and a mouse. So including those items like a soft wrist rest to protect that carpal tunnel, and we saw the cost associated to that. So protecting those is ideal. I do want to make sure we understand as an ergo specialist what those customer workspaces should look like so that you guys can have a really good understanding when you're talking to your customers about what products would be helpful and really helping with those attached solutions to make sure that it's a great ideal solution for that company and that they go to you looking for an ergo resource with the resources that we've provided to you. So one of the things you want to look at is the height and angle of the monitors as well as the chair. A lot of times companies, when they're putting out a mass item of something, they're not caring about the adjustment of the monitor or chair when the building was built. And so they need to have something that's put in after the fact. With that, having a chair support like a conform backrest or a seat cushion or a lumbar support added on to the chairs that are already there is a really, really cost-effective solution to get that person supported in the torso and being able to lean back into the chair support. With the monitors themselves, you saw the monitor arm in the prior slide, but we also have a large variety of solutions related to laptop risers and monitor risers that all help with the adjustability of the monitors and laptops to get it to the nice eye level portion. So that's the next thing is you want to make sure that the monitor and laptop screen are at eye level. If you walk through any environment that has computers, which let's face it, that's pretty much every office these days, most people will have their monitors set too low or too high. Very, very few people put it at eye level. And the biggest reason behind that is they don't have an adjustable option. So having a affordable adjustable option for your monitor or laptop, whatever the company is using, is a great addition to show the employees that they care, as well as offering you guys a great way to attach that to your solutions. You also want to look at the distance from the monitor, from the person to the monitor. And so 50 centimeters, that is basically if you were to put your arm out in front of you and act like you're putting a stop sign out, from where you normally type to the screen, you should just barely be touching your computer screen from there. And if it's bumping into it or it's much further than that, you should really adjust it to that point. If it's hard to adjust your monitor, you can see where the need comes in for having those ergo products on your desktop. The one-touch monitor arm, which is what was in the prior slide, allows you a great opportunity to seamlessly adjust your monitor easily. Otherwise, a lot of the other products that are out there with different monitor risers or laptop risers makes it easy to not only adjust the height, but then also move it forward or back from your position. Along with the eye health would also be privacy screens. So with that, one of the biggest things we see is people try to hide their information and don't have a good way to do it based on the confidentiality. With a good privacy screen that's nice and clear, it's easy to see through for the user, they're able to sit back in their chair, view their information straight on versus having it at an odd position, and able to see that in a nice, comfortable way for the user. Those are a very minimal investment to protect the overall health of the worker. Talking about wrist health, we've talked about carpal tunnel a lot, but it's a very, very important issue and it's very prevalent in any workspace today. You want to make sure that your wrists are able to remain flat when typing. So you'll see that you want to knock the legs down that are on the keyboard to make it nice and flat, but then also elevate your wrist off the desktop with a wrist rest. So making sure that you do use that wrist rest properly by having the plush or the cushier part of your base of your palm on the actual wrist rest and making sure that there is freedom and room to breathe underneath that wrist area. So your wrist or the carpal tunnel area is not resting on the desktop edge and making sure that you ensure that healthy wrist. That also goes into having the right mouse. There's a great blog on Kensington's website about choosing the right mouse fit for you. There's so many options that are out there, and there's great options for all different hand sizes, or if you use a trackball, and every mouse has a different purpose, but you want to make sure that you're able to have one that fits you well and have that wrist rest that really complements it to keep your wrist healthy and in a nice neutral posture. And then keeping your shoulders relaxed. It may sound odd, but having a footrest in place really allows you to sit back in your chair more, just because you're able to be at ease, leaning back into the chair and feeling comfortable. Also, with your shoulders being relaxed, having a backrest or something that's fully supporting your back is key. And then keeping your keyboard and mouse nice and close to the desk edge versus being hunched over it and sitting up in your chair into that support that's there. We want to make sure that your customers are working well, but also that they feel well. As soon as they start feeling better about their workspaces, my experience has been as soon as one ergo item has been introduced into a workplace, more and more follow it. It's something that people crave to have more comfort in their workplace as they're spending more and more time in their environments at work. So once again, I do want to talk about the importance of that monitor riser or that laptop riser. We want to make sure that it is nice and eye level and have the ability to do that, and making sure that you're placing it an arm's length away from you. And as we spoke about in the beginning, that when your neck and your head are in a healthy position, the rest of your body is going to follow suit. Making sure that your eyes are in line with the monitors and that your wrists are nice and straight. Make sure it ensures the optimal comfort, and it also makes you feel more productive and makes people work more efficiently. With the wrist health, making sure that you have that mouse pad, that keyboard support. You want to make sure that you're able to rest well and have a wrist rest that fits the mouse and keyboard that you have in an appropriate way and makes the person feel comfortable. With all of this, it's going to reduce the load on your upper limbs and shoulders and really sit back in your chair and relax. So I want to talk a little bit more about the cost of the ergo solutions. I know some of the pushback from companies has been it cost a lot of money. I don't know which one to put in, and looking at the cost comparison of how little the ergo products cost, but how much of a margin you can actually make on those products compared to just one item is huge. And so looking at this picture alone, we have the Snap 2 privacy screen, which allows you to have that nice comfort and ease for your eyes, being able to sit back in your chair, and having a monitor riser that you're able to adjust to the appropriate level and make it nice and eye level and easy on the eyes, neck, and shoulders. And a laptop riser. The one that we pictured here actually has the phone charging on it as well, and so that you're able to have a double duty item that's not only great for ergonomics, but also has a technology advantage as well. With the keyboard and mouse set, it's a really great price point for a nice basic ergo keyboard and ergo mouse. But like I said, with that wrist health being so important, you want to make sure that you have the keyboard and wrist rest to fit the mouse. And we actually have a smart fit mouse pad that actually allows you to adjust the height of the wrist rest. And then we also have the Ergo Soft and some others as well, that it's really about what users feel most comfortable with and what the company is looking to fit in with their company there. So all of those items to have that total solution is under $400 to give them a really great complete ergo setup for their desktop. With that, you've sold multiple items, you have the great option of having a much larger margin on those items, and you can use that cost justification of a typical carpal tunnel injury of $215,000. Can you imagine how many ergo solutions you could sell to get up to that $215,000 mark? That's a lot of ergo product that a company could justify versus the cost of one carpal tunnel injury. And so we want to make sure too that you realize that this is just one example of an ideal setup, but Kensington offers a lot of options that are out there. So if a company is looking to spend a little, or if they want to upgrade to something that's a little bit more, we have multiple products like our footrest, monitor risers, and different wrist rests that all come in a good, better. We can really make sure we give the companies what they're looking for at an affordable price point, but also the best solution for them. So I want to go back through what we've covered today and make sure that we really hit home why this is so important for you guys. Ergonomics in the workplace is absolutely increasing to meet the demands of our workers and employers. It's not just the workers that are seeing the need, but the employers are seeing the costs that are associated. So start adding those ergonomics and attached solutions and really build that entire productive workspace and increase those margins on all of those products and not just one. And looking at that graph of 1/3 of the injuries in the workplace are due to poor ergonomics. So let's change that. Let's see if we can fix that and help reduce those costs. If we remember that magic number, the incurred cost for the most common injury that we all know about of carpal tunnel is $215,000. We saw how little it costs to put in that ideal solution. And so thinking about how little and what the ROI is, it's a really great opportunity to attach those solutions to increase those margins there. And it pays to accessorize. We saw what the TAM was for the ergo keyboards. That's just one single ergo component, but it's expected to grow 10.5% in that ergo space. And like I said before, it's very, very specific that it's the ergo keyboard versus the standard keyboard. And so seeing that need and being 5 times as much in the ergo space versus the standard, it's a huge, huge growth opportunity, and it's a prime time to be able to attach those items and make sure that we're able to provide great ergonomic resources and also become the ergo expert in the reseller and distribution sector.
All right, thanks, Lisa. We hope you found it helpful and learned a few things that you can take away.